Now, that brings us to Jesus. And what did Jesus have to say about this? Because we have this biblical infallibility aspect. We have Jesus fulfilling the law of Moses. Did he or did he not accept sacrifice? Well, again, putting back on my just standard hat coming within the Christian tradition and maybe even the Catholic tradition, Jesus clearly was calling people towards the ideal. Even if he, let's grant he permitted sacrifice or he observed it in his life or he was a part of that system, in every way, shape, and form, he's calling them to the ideal, even with statements such as, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. And we have to remember that in that time, the sacrificial system was the meat market. That's how they got meat. Very rarely did they ever have meat outside of that context, especially in the greater Greco-Roman world, which we'll get into with the Pauline stuff. But animal sacrifice and meat consumption were like inextricably connected at a scale, because before that, it would have been just the rare animal once a year or whenever it was. So these are one in the same system. When he's calling out the animal sacrificial ritual, in a way by default, he's calling out the consumption of it because that's what happened. But I've already covered like John 10:10 and 11, how he's literally rejecting the animal sacrifice. But I do want to say that when he flips the temple tables, one other piece to know that he's condemning the sacrificial system. There's many that I could discover, but one that I think you'll find interesting is, if you remember, the Pharisee in the temple challenges him, ask him what the greatest command is, right? I think it's Mark 12 or 15, Mark 12. The priest says, what's the greatest commandment? He's trying to catch him, right? They're always trying to catch him.
Right.
And he says, it's love God with all your heart, soul, mind, understanding, and love the other as you love yourself. And then what does the Pharisee say back? He says, I'm paraphrasing, I'm dramatizing a little bit, but he essentially says, oh, I get it. If we were to do that, then that's more than all these burnt offerings and sacrifices. Why are we doing this? And Jesus says to him, even more powerfully, what does he respond? He says, you, my friend, are not far from the kingdom. And he never said that to a single apostle. He never said that to anyone else in the text. He said it to this Pharisee, you're not far from the kingdom. Well, why would he say that? Reading Isaiah, the freedom of the oppressed, right? Who are the oppressed? You can imagine him in the temple flipping the tables. And if my position here, which again isn't my position, it's the position of many people, but the one I'm arguing is that Jesus was against the sacrificial system, it's like the guy is getting it. Oh, I see what you've been ranting about here all day. Yeah, I guess we don't need this. And then Jesus goes, you are not far from the kingdom. It's at hand. You're pulling it in right now with that perspective. So just wanted to highlight that. Now, how do we steel man this? And I'm going to get to Acts 10 and all this, but I want to go ahead and jump into this. How do we steel man this from a critical perspective of text that we have outside of the scripture? Your version of that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but or not your version, the church's version is like, hey, apostolic authority is important. They help us understand the text when we get in trouble, right? When we need an interpretation. Correct?
Yeah, they're able to definitively interpret what the text is asserting.
Okay.
What the text asserts, the church is able to tell us what that assertion is, and they can do so in a way that is definitive. Okay.
So just to lay out in the most layman's terms is oversimplifying it, but the way critical biblical scholarship kind of works is that you've got the apostolic tradition, the church fathers and their writings considered completely historical in the sense that real people really wrote them most of the time. There are forgeries and these kind of things, but that's what's the religious tradition or the non-secular tradition. Then you've got secular records. This is where Josephus comes in. He's a historian, Pliny the Elder and younger, etc. All right. So I'm going to go on these two rails for a second and show you why I say that I lean in the direction of what's called a Nazarene. Is because when you look throughout the scripture, Jesus is most often referred to over the Christ or anything like that in the Gospels as Jesus of Nazareth, right? That's how everybody knows him.
Right.
But the reality is in the Gospels, almost unanimously, that Greek behind the phrase Jesus of Nazareth is a Greek that is Jesus the Nazarene or Nazarean. It's a sectarian title. It's not delineating a place of origin. Now, the Greek itself, the way the vowel works in Nazarene, it actually makes it where it's like impossible for it to mean someone from Nazareth. I won't get into all those details, but you can trust my word for it now and go look it up later. You can look up Wikipedia. Anyone, just go to Wikipedia. Here, actually pull it up. Pull it up.
Wikipedia?
Say Nazarene title. Nazarene title.
Wikipedia. This one?
Yeah.
Scroll down.
Just this last paragraph on the first thing. The Greek New Testament Nazarenes. Nazarene 6 times, Nazarene 13 times. Nazarene is used to refer to a follower of Jesus, a Christian. Wait, that's not the one I was looking for. Hold on. Go back up. Oh, there it is. The first paragraph. Oh, I thought it was the third. The phrases traditionally rendered as Jesus of Nazareth can be translated as Jesus the Nazarene or the Nazarene, and the title Nazarene may have a religious significance instead of denoting a place of origin. Both Nazarene and Nazarene are irregular in Greek, and the additional vowel in Nazarene complicates any derivation from Nazareth. So, we know from the patristics, specifically Epiphanius more than anyone, that there was a sect of Nazarenes and that was the earliest name for the Christians other than just followers of the way. Paul even gets accused of being a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes in Acts. Now, who were the Nazarenes? Well, let's start by the one in this. I'm teeing us up for a whole other podcast.
I know. We're gonna have to come back, talk about the Nazarenes.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to talk about textual criticism because I think that would be especially Old Testament textual criticism. We got to do that. All right.
Yeah, and New Testament.
And New Testament. And we have to talk about Jesus and the fish. So
and I'm going to touch on that very briefly here. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'll give a little bit.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Man.
Oh wow. Okay. How am I going to? Okay.
We're already way over.
We're gonna have to do a part 2, man.
Let me wrap it here as fast as I can. Jesus the Nazarene. The Nazarenes were led by James the Just, Jesus' brother. I feel that the Catholic Church and others haven't really uncovered or revealed who James truly was, but I think it was Eusebius that said that James led 13 to 15 different bishops after James in the Jerusalem church. Mm-hmm. And he had from so many additional sources, secular and Christian, appointed the first successor to Jesus. And I think the Petrine apostolic tradition maybe has taken people's focus away from that. Why would that be? Well, one thing that we know that comes back to this argument is that it's historically documented by Eusebius, the father of church history, that James, quoting one of the earliest Christians, that James was holy from his mother's womb. He never ate flesh. Since birth, holy from his mother's womb, he never ate flesh. Now, okay, maybe he was the vegan one and Jesus wasn't, but okay, well then you go back to John the Baptist in the text that we have, he ate locusts and honey. Well, that's not meat. That's vegetarian. But here's what's even more fascinating. This is completely non-controversial. It's another thing you can Wikipedia. Don't do it right now. Do it at home. Mm-hmm. Locust and honey is a mistranslation for the honey locust, which is the carob bean, which grows all over the River Jordan. And still to this day, it's called St. John's bread because the tradition knew that St. John ate this bean. This other text I'm going to refer to in a second called it a honey cake. But bottom line, this is a mistranslation in the Greek text that's apparent from so many directions. It's not even controversial. So we've got John the Baptist being referred to as someone who completely restricted himself from eating animal flesh, and his diet is indicated. Same thing with James. It's kind of strange to think that Jesus is in the middle because he's the successor in a way to John the Baptist, and then James from him, that he's just wedged in the middle there, that he wouldn't have the same lifestyle, especially if Mary raised him that way. But that being said, okay, now, sorry, I know we only have a little bit of time, but I'm trying to do
it. There's so many things I was trying to say.
I know.
Yeah.
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode.